You're listening to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Thomas Wong, business mentor, author, and founder of the Cocoon VIP membership, empowering women around the world to build businesses on their terms. If you want to grow and scale a business that works in harmony with your family and your life, this podcast is for you. Today, I'm speaking to Carly Rose. Not only is Carly my amazing online business manager, but she also understands the juggle of being a mum and working around family life. She started her first business back in 2017 after having her second son and realising that going back to work, even part-time, was just not going to work for her. So she set to work using her skills from the corporate world to create a truly flexible business that fitted around her family life. In this interview, she shares the quite difficult decisions she's had to make recently in order to keep her business life-friendly. Carly, thank you so much for joining us on the Life Friendly Business Podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So, what was the driver for you starting your own business?
For me, I had just had my second son and I was fed up of feeling all the guilt. So guilt for having to leave my children to go to work and then guilt on the other side. So guilt for whenever I had to call my boss to say I couldn't make it in. And I just wanted to have some real flexibility as opposed to the part-time that the corporate world actually offers.
I think that a lot of people will resonate with that guilt, and it's such a toxic emotion, isn't it? When you feel so pulled between, you know, what you want to be doing and where you feel you should be working, and you know, all these different things, and having a boss to answer to. I think that's something that a lot of people will recognize in their own lives.
Absolutely. And one of the things I used to hate about going into work is when I went back to work after my first son was born, I did 3 days a week. And every time I was in, somebody would make some stupid comment that made me want to scream, like, oh, you're in today, are you? Oh, hi, part-timer. You know, actually, I think I was probably working harder than any of you and then having to go home and work. So it was very frustrating.
That's a really hard position to be in. And yeah, can totally understand why you decided that actually you want to do your own thing and do it on your own terms. So what does a life-friendly business look like for you?
Life-friendly for me is being able to pick and choose my working hours to suit me. So to be super flexible and to work around my family life. I wanted to be able to take the kids to school, pick them up, attend sports days, any assemblies and things like that. But at the same time, I also didn't want to not work at all. And I really wanted to be able to create a business that fitted around that, using the skills that I'd learned throughout my working life.
And so you're obviously working with clients.
Yeah.
And I know from many women that, you know, that I've mentored, that it's a really hard balance, isn't it, between trying to create the schedule that you want, but also servicing your clients and managing their expectations. So how have you managed to do that?
Yeah, it is really tricky. And I'm not going to lie, it's not one I've probably nailed. But boundaries are key, and you have to have them and you have to stick to them. And I'm not going to say that I do all of the time, because that would be a total lie, but I do have boundaries and I do have to keep revisiting them, because life changes, your clients change, so you have to keep looking at them and keep making sure that they're working for you. But it's not an easy one. And especially as a people pleaser, because I think anyone in the line of work that I'm in and you're in, you know, you're looking to help people and you want to serve them. So it's really hard when that email comes in, not to just drop everything. Oh God, this person needs me. I've got to do it right now. And I think that's something I've had to work on myself. And it's something I think that you mentioned previously, Erin, about over delivering. And actually my expectations that I have for myself are often way higher than my clients.
And that's really hard, because then you just feel like you're never quite doing enough, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's a vicious cycle. So have you had to make any difficult decisions in order to keep your business life friendly?
Definitely. And I'm in the middle of it right now. I've decided to take a step back in order to move forward. So over the last 2 months, I've halved my client list. So I really had to look at the work I was doing and what I was enjoying and what I wasn't enjoying. And I think this was all triggered by the pandemic, because actually I got really busy during the pandemic because lots of women needed support, which was amazing. And I really felt pulled to support them and felt that I could at the time. And actually, I think it's a bit like the school holidays. When the school holidays happen and you stop, you get ill, or, something happens. And I felt like that happened. Like, although the pandemic's not over, it certainly subsided slightly for me in terms of the kids being back at school, and I actually had time for my business. And actually I was like, this isn't feeling fun anymore. I feel really worn out and overwhelmed. So I decided that I needed half my client list to actually be able to focus on my business rather than everybody else's, and look at what I really wanted to do moving forward.
And that's an incredibly brave decision to make.
It was scary.
And I think what's really interesting is that, maybe do you feel like, especially people in your situation as an online business manager or as VAs, there's kind of this pressure to scale and, get as many clients as you can, and, maybe set up an agency. How do you feel like you were kind of buying into that idea and then decided actually that wasn't how you wanted to do things? Or what's your plan for making it kind of changing your work dynamic?
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm online all the time, especially for my clients. And I have a lot of coaching clients, and the online space in that area is all about, 6 figures this, 7 figures that, scale your business in 3 months, and you can't help but feed into that and feel like, crikey, well, why am I not doing that? And I really had to sit down and think about it, and was like, well, actually, because I don't want to. I don't want that right now. I've got a 4-year-old at home who's not even started school yet. And although, yes, I probably could do that, does it mean I should? And actually, no, because the whole reason for me starting my business was that I was present for him. And I don't feel I could do both to the level that I would expect of myself, I suppose. So right now, scaling my business is not something I really want to do. I think I do in the future. But right now I want to tick over as I am and enjoy my work. I love my clients, and I love their businesses and what they stand for. And I want to be present, particularly over the summer holiday with the boys. So so that was the reason for me taking a step back. And moving forward, I'm looking at other avenues to be able to support the women in my industry.
And because, with the OBM work, like, it is very much time for money, isn't it? You get paid an hourly rate or a retainer. And so with your kind of your ideas for future projects, you're looking at more of a one-to-many approach. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've actually pretty much finished writing a course for new VAs. So those ladies that are starting out, who are looking for true flexibility, and a business to work around their family life. So I just need to get on and record that. And I'm hoping to get that out into the world so that I can support more women on a larger scale. And a fellow cocooner, actually, Simon, and I are working behind the scenes at the moment to start a VA membership so that we're able to support lots of VAs at the same time.
That is brilliant. And I love hearing about cocoon collaborations.
Of course.
This is one thing that I just feel so strongly about, that, even if there are people doing a similar thing to you, there is always room for collaboration. And, you two joining forces with each having your own areas of expertise, but then providing something, so well-rounded is it's brilliant. And I love the fact that you said getting it out there in the world, because I think there really is that feeling that we all have lots of ways that we can help people, and sometimes we hold back because of like low confidence or our inner critic stuff or a fear of selling. But actually, we just need to get it out there. That's the hardest thing, isn't it? Just letting go of it and releasing
it. It really is. Yeah, and being visible. And I think you're never going to please everybody. Not everybody is going to want to take your course or want to be in your group, but those that do will find you, and that's what's important.
I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I am going to quote The Greatest Showman right now. when oh my God, yeah, P.T. Barnum, when she says to him, "You don't need everyone to love you, just a few good people."
Aww.
And it's so true, isn't it? There are enough customers and clients to go around, and and it does make you feel vulnerable when you're creating something, whether it's a course or a membership or a blog post or a book, but we have to do it, and we have to put ourselves out there, because actually it is going to help people, even if it's one person, even if it's 100 people, even if it's 1,000 people, it can help.
Absolutely. And I think that you're right there, like surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people who get you, your tribe. I think it's overused, but I think that's the same in life and business, right? You want to be around people that get you and like you and enjoy what you have to offer, and vice versa, because you all bounce off of each other. And that's what happens in the cocoon. And that's how I met Simon, and we were able to do this.
Yeah. And I think that, one thing that I find that I speak to a lot of women about is when they start a business, that maybe in their friendship networks, like everyone else is kind of doing a normal 9 to 5, or maybe they're not working, and you can feel really isolated because you don't have anyone to speak to who gets it, who gets the challenges that you're facing. And yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to create the cocoon, to have that kind of sisterhood of women that are all trying to, we're all building businesses, and we're all doing it on our own terms, and to be able to support each other and lift each other up is just so invaluable. It's been really interesting hearing you talk about, how you absolutely could be taking on more clients, you could be making more money, all those things, but you've still got 2 young children, one of whom is still not at school. What I'm really interested to hear is how you measure your success. Like, do you feel successful?
Yes, I do. And I measure success. Success for me, it's a feeling. So if I'm feeling happy, if I'm feeling secure, if I feel like I'm doing a good job, then that's success to me. My clients are happy, my kids are happy, I'm happy. That is success. I don't put a monetary figure on success. I think at the beginning I was desperate to make what I was making in my corporate job. And that felt like a real figure to work towards. And I absolutely got there. I probably earn more now than I did working full time, and I work very part time. So yes, that the finances make a big difference, and that is awesome. But yes, success for me is a feeling, and feeling content and happy in my life.
I love that. And I love the fact as well that you are earning more now than you were on with a full-time job, but absolutely doing it on your own terms. But I totally agree that success is a feeling. And if we're constantly feeling like we're kind of chasing this vision and not enjoying the journey and not celebrating the success as we go along, it's, it can probably feel quite empty. Obviously, you sound like you've got a really positive mindset. Do you ever have wobbles?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Absolutely, yeah. And I don't want to make it out like my journey's been all unicorns and rainbows, because it certainly hasn't. And I think I do suffer probably more now with overwhelm than I did before, because the business is mine. It's my responsibility. I'm responsible for getting work done for myself, for my clients. So yes, overwhelm does kick in, but I'm definitely a glass half full kind of person. I'm very positive and have to work on your mindset daily to keep on top of all those feelings. Imposter syndrome also kicks in, because like we said before, the online space is busy and we're all trying desperately not to compare ourselves with others. But sometimes it happens, and you have to just acknowledge it, accept it, and then remember who you are and why you're doing what you're doing.
100%. What do you do then if you have a day where you feel really overwhelmed and it's all feeling too much? What's your go-to solution?
Probably not what everyone else is. I get on my Peloton. I've got a Peloton, which is like an exercise bike with a screen. And there's this awesome guy on there called Cody. And I just log in and do one of his classes, even if it's just a 20-minute, and I instantly get a boost. So that is my go-to if I'm having a rubbish day. I get my husband to tag team in with the kids, and I say, I'm going upstairs to do a Peloton. I'll be back in 20.
Well, do you know what? I wish that I had one of them, because my go-to would be tea and cake. So I think that's a much better one. Yeah. And I think as well, actually being able to talk about that when you're feeling that and actually not bottling it up, I think it's really great to have a release, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not great at journaling, I have to say. I know, mindset, habits and all that. But I do love affirmations. I do have them up all around me in my office, lots of positive affirmations, and gratitude journaling is one of my favorites. So at night before I go to bed, I don't always write down, but I always make an effort to go to bed thinking about the great things that have happened that day and how I can replicate those for the next day.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned earlier that you work part-time. Can you just give our listeners an idea of kind of, I don't know whether you've got like an average day or how your work pans out over the week? Because I know that obviously you are my lovely online business manager, and sometimes you work evenings and at the weekends. And I know you've talked before about the fact that, you're quite happy to have a different kind of schedule so that you can fit other nice things in during the week. So how do you do that? How do you manage your diary?
Yeah, so my working week generally is Monday to Thursday. And it's by the time I've done school drop-offs and preschool drop-offs, I don't really start work till 10 o'clock. And then at the moment, with the way things are, I'm picking up my eldest son from school at 3. So really, that's not a great deal of hours. And they fly by. And if you're going to try and fit in lunch, and I've still got stuff to do like the washing and all of that jazz. So yeah, Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, I tend to work 10 till 2:30. And then Tuesday, my youngest finishes at 1:30. So that's a half day. And I try and take Friday off because I still have my youngest on a Friday. And that's supposed to be our Friday fun day until he starts school. So yeah, I try and fit all my client work in those times. But often, I don't want to have to say no to fun things that come up either, because, I started this business so that it fitted around me, and the fun things are just as important. So if a girlfriend says, do you fancy going for coffee, on a Monday, I probably wouldn't do a Monday morning anymore, but say a Wednesday morning, I will. And I might work Tuesday night instead to cover that time off. I quite like to work a Sunday night because I feel like then I'm not rushing in on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock, like, oh my God, what's come in? I like to have a look on a Sunday night, check it all through, because I don't get the Sunday night blues anymore, so it's not like I'm dreading going to work because I love it. So yeah, I will be flexible with my time. And there are certain things for certain clients that need to be done at certain times, and I'm more than happy to do those. But what's awesome about my business, and should be the case for most people who have their own businesses, is you get to pick your clients too. It's a two-way thing. So actually, the clients that I have are all incredibly supportive. We're all mums, we all get it, and we're all there to support each other. So if I'm having a difficult week and something's cropped up and a child's poorly, I know that I can let my clients know, and they will be nothing but wonderful about it.
And it does make all the difference. That whole thing about, the people that you choose to surround yourself with. And
exactly.
I think you're right that, when you're working in an employed role, you don't get to do that. You don't, the people in your office, the people in your team, you don't get to necessarily choose that. But and it's easy to feel like that's the situation in your business as well. But actually, we do have the power to do that. And it can be really scary saying no to people. Or like you've done, actually halving your client list and making those really difficult decisions and having difficult conversations. But in the long run, it's that, you've got a vision of how you want things to be, and, you're implementing that.
Yeah. And I obviously my whole business is about outsourcing. I'm suggesting to clients that they outsource. So I've had to get on board with that too. I'm suggesting that people should do that. So I have to do that too. So in order to have a working week that I can actually accomplish, I outsource a lot as well. And I know it can be scary, especially when you're in the early stages of your business. You don't want to hand over aspects of your business to somebody because it's frightening. So I always say to people, well, what else could you get rid of then? What else could you get rid of so that you can spend that time on your business? I outsource my cleaning. So I have a cleaner once a week, so that I don't have to think about that, and I get that extra time back to work on my business or be with the boys. And during the pandemic, one of the things that we decided to do here was have HelloFresh. Don't know if anyone else uses those. Other options are available, but we use HelloFresh 3 nights a week, so that I don't have to think about what I've got to cook, because that became a real bugbear during the pandemic, after homeschooling and running a business and sorting the house. And I just thought, oh gosh, it's now dinner time. What am I doing now? So we've kept that up. I actually now have my own VA who helps me out. And I'm very good now at accepting offers of help, because again, I think, I don't know about you, but as a mum and a woman, I've often struggled to accept help. And, people would say, oh, yeah, I'll take the boys for you for an hour. Oh, don't be so silly, I can handle it. But now I make a real point of, oh, great, thank you, please do. If they didn't mean it, they won't offer again. So yeah, accepting offers of support is definitely something I've had to learn, and would definitely recommend.
Yeah, I think when you are trying to run a life-friendly business, that means allowing support in. Yeah. And I think it's really easy as a solo business owner to feel like you have to do everything yourself. And unfortunately, we cannot do everything ourselves like really well. We'll have areas in our business that are in our zone of genius, and then we'll have other areas which are like wading through mud. And it's much better, you're going to be able to grow your business and scale your business if you actually reach out and take on support to help in the areas that are not your zone of genius.
Definitely.
And also, I do love the fact that you've taken on help at home as well, because I think that is another mindset thing that of the women that I speak to, that invisible load that we carry about everything else that needs to be done around the house. And I mean, God, cooking meals is the bane of my life. It's not the cooking, it's the thinking of what are we going to eat every day. It's so boring. One day I'm going to pay for someone to like fill the fridge with like healthy ready meals, and never have to think about it again. Life aim there. So what advice would you give to someone who is maybe already running a business, but they feel like the business is actually running them?
Well, I think look for some support. So the Cocoon is a great option, or surrounding yourself with other women, or doesn't have to be women, whatever your business is, but surrounding yourself with people who are in a similar place, or who are that one step ahead. I certainly joined Facebook groups and networking groups where other people who were doing the same thing, just to see how they were doing it. And I know online you get the sugar-coated version, but at least you can see what they're doing so that you can replicate it, so that it fits for you. Accepting the offers of support, as I said before, that's got to be the biggest one for me.
That what you just mentioned there, I think that's really true, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. There are people who have trodden the path before you, and you're going to save a lot of time and a lot of mistakes if you reach out and find those people and, learn from their lessons. And, absolutely, that's what the Cocoon is all about, and having experts on hand and women that are willing to share their failures as well as their success. But like having that support, I think that the people that really struggle are the people that don't gift themselves that, and then find themselves overwhelmed and frustrated and not making progress and feeling like a failure. And it's so sad to see that happen, when that actually, if they just reach out and ask for help, that it could all be okay.
Yeah. And I think generally, like, especially in this online spaces that I'm a member of, people want to help. Like, we're not trying to be like, oh no, I can't help that person because they might, steal my clients, or it's not, it doesn't feel like that at all. Everybody wants to support each other. We're all in a similar situation, and we all want to succeed. And it's a lovely feeling to see someone else succeed and you be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find out more about your services, but also your upcoming exciting membership?
Yeah, the best place would be probably Instagram, to be honest. I'm mostly active on Instagram and my website, which is currently in the middle of an overhaul, so excuse it. But you can find me everywhere at carlyroseva.co.uk or Carly Rose VA on Insta and Facebook.
Lovely. And one final question. So if you could go back to that moment when you very first started your own business, what advice would you give yourself?
That's an easy one for me. I would tell myself to trust myself and to stop holding myself back. I held myself back for a long, long time. I could have probably filled my diary and reached my corporate salary way quicker than I did, because I think I tried to protect myself. And I think I have had to work through some fears of success, actually. And oh gosh, what does that mean if I actually do achieve that? What happens next? So yeah, trust yourself and your gut, and often what you're feeling is right.
I'm smiling here about the fear of success, because that's something that people don't often talk about. We talk about fear of failure, but fear of success is a real thing, and so unexplored in a lot of ways, because people might realize that actually what's holding them back is, like you said, like, what if this works? What if I get loads of clients and I can't service them? What if that means that I do a bad job and they write me negative reviews? And like, you find yourself in this spiral, and it's actually because you're worried that it's going to go too well.
Yeah. No, which sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it is so true. It's so true. And I think that's what mine was. I thought, oh God, well, if I take on too many clients, then I'm going to get overwhelmed, and this is going to happen, and I'm not going to be able to do what I set out to do, which was have a flexible business that worked around the children. And the reality is, yes, you can. You need to put your boundaries in place and have some great ways at saying no that aren't actually saying no.
Definitely. Boundaries in place, your non-negotiables sorted, everything that we talk about in the create your own life-friendly business prescription. It is getting those things in place and, not allowing things to overtake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant to speak to you, Carly. And I know that a lot of people will resonate with what you've said today. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
You've been listening to the Life Friendly Business podcast, which is all about carving your own path and doing it at your own pace. But I know that's not easy to do. So to help you decide what a life-friendly business looks like for you and help you to stick to the boundaries and commitments needed to create that, I've created the Life Friendly Business Prescription. Download this free workbook and spend 30 to 60 minutes reflecting on what life-friendly means to you and the changes you may need to make in order to achieve the work-life balance you desire. Once you've made these decisions, you can add them to your own printable life-friendly business prescription that you can put on your wall to remind yourself that you have the power to design your very own life-friendly business. Download yours now at lifefriendlybusiness.com/prescription.